Hey, it's Les from the TV Dudes. This week, I'm excited to bring you a very special video interview. I talked to two of the stars of the CW's sci-fi show Pandora, which begins its season 2 this Sunday, October 4th. We talk with Akshay Kumar, who plays Jett, a returning character from season 1, as well as Nicole Castillo-Mavromatis, who plays a new character, Zazie. We get into how they filmed a show during COVID-19, what they're excited for fans to see in season 2, and much more. It's a fun interview, and I hope you enjoy.
Good stuff. Thanks for hosting us today. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks for making time. I can't say thank you enough. In going back and forth to schedule this, I honestly forget that the rest of the world is starting to resume life or production or film things, because we're still a little bit crazy here in the States now. Did y'all just wrap up filming, or are y'all partway through the season? Where are you in the production process right now?
Yesterday, we wrapped yesterday. So we're completely done. We're completely wrapped on Pandora, which is a sad feeling.
It's sad. It's very sad. It's been a very intense 2 and a bit months.
It has, yeah.
10 episodes in 2.5 months. I'm not sure if many people could pull that off, but somehow we managed it. So
it's been crazy, yeah.
So relief, it's a huge sadness, but a massive relief, and everyone's sort of patting themselves on the back to say, oh my God, we got through it without anyone getting COVID, which is great.
That is absolutely wonderful to hear.
Yeah.
You always think about that sense of trust that actors need to explore their character or feel safe in an emotional sense. But I can't imagine like doing action stunts or something, how much extra trust you need in your production to keep you safe while making it. Now, I know, Akshay, you came back, Jett was, of course, in season 1. Did you have any inkling or expect to get to bring that character back and do season 2?
Not until, I'd say, around October or November of last year, did I get an email from Mark Altman, our showrunner, saying that, we would love to have you back if there's a season 2. And then quite soon after that, I read an article on Deadline saying that they had been greenlit. So I emailed saying, hey, congrats, Mark. I hope it goes great. And then he was like, yeah, I wasn't kidding when I said I went to Batman. I was like, oh, great. Okay, cool. It's like, yeah, it wasn't just some polite courtesy thing. So yeah, I think him and Steve Krazier as well, an exec on the show, were very keen, and I was flattered. And to have Jett have the sort of storyline that he's had, from like 4 scenes in episode 6 last year, and that was a whole entire character, to being in almost every single episode this year it's quite a leap, and it's really quite a compliment from them to me. So I'm very grateful for that. Yeah.
Now, Nicole, coming aboard this season with Zazie, were there particular things that you wanted to do to get into the cast, to get into the groove of the show? I can't imagine trying to join a cast in the middle of such an odd time where there might not be hangouts the way they're, let's all go out to dinner, let's all get some drinks. Might be more difficult to do now. What kinds of things did you do to get into the show?
To integrate. Well, I think I've been really blessed in the sense that everyone's been very welcoming. It's a very welcoming cast anyway. And so in the first couple of weeks, we managed to get together because we're all kind of staying in around the same area. We're either all staying in the same building or staying in the same area.
Within like a mile.
Within a mile, yeah. So we do still manage to get together, whether it's at we'll have dinner parties at someone's apartment.
COVID-free dinner parties.
COVID-free dinner parties, yeah, because we've all been tested. We know we're getting tested very frequently, and so we know that this area is a safe COVID-free area. And so I guess from doing that and having gatherings at each other's apartments or little things like that, but everyone has been super welcoming otherwise. Just as a cast in general, everyone's been so lovely, and so it does feel very much like a family, I think. And I'm super grateful for that, coming into the show as a noob, but also like but also coming into the show in this time. It was scary, but everyone's been so like super welcoming. I'm very grateful for that. Yeah.
Theater productions can always have such a almost trauma bond, like we're in this together, trenches kind of thing. Do you feel like this added to that, or maybe heightened the family bond y'all feel making this show together this time?
Yeah.
There was definitely a consensus of we are all just so grateful to be working in such a ridiculous time as this, and I think we took that into it ups everyone's game. I think knowing that
I feel like everyone had like such an intense work ethic. Like, coming in, we were like, we're gonna kill it. Like
there was no like, oh, today's an easy day, or today I have no dialogue.
No,
Every day you turn up because God knows tomorrow might not come. Someone might get it tomorrow. You know, so there was this sort of, there's like you know, like your life depends on it, which is, you know, is a very extreme attitude to have towards a job, but it does mean you really put the work in and you walk out feeling incredibly grateful. Anytime you have some sort of qualm with whatever, you have to remind yourself that, listen, I could either be doing this job or I could be sitting in lockdown right now. So where would I rather be? And I think everyone really sort of stepped up because of COVID. So in a way, thank you, COVID, you weird and wonderful virus.
Pandora is obviously genre sci-fi craziness that is not what's going on right now, and I love genre sci-fi stuff, but I think sometimes when these projects don't work, it's because it's entirely spaceship and neat tech, and some kind of character thing gets forgotten. As actors, as the people having to bring these people to life, what did each of you do to kind of find the core of your character? I know Jett is on a huge arc from where he was last season. With Zazie, you get to kind of bring a clean slate to it. What did you find was the emotional core amid all the spaceship?
Spaceship. I do. I think. Well, personally, I felt like when coming onto the show, I felt like Zazie. I connected with the Zazie character quite a lot, anyway. Just because I think I didn't have so much of a backstory when I came on, so I think a big thing that I did was I kind of backtracked and figured out her background and her story and her history. And I like sat down and I was like, well, this is what happened, and this is what happened to my parents, and you know. And so I spent a afternoon and maybe a couple of days going through and adjusting and processing and just kind of figuring out like where she came from, what her thought process would be, and how she feels about certain things, and what happened to her family and her friends, and how, you know, where she comes from, and that really helped. But then when I came, also I got some information from Mark Altman about my background and my character, which helped a lot, because she does have, I feel like, a really weirdly massive upside down roller coaster of an arc this season. So it's then from having that information, I then adjusted and kind of went backwards, and I guess went along with the scripts as well, and tried to figure out why she would do certain things, and what that meant to her, and how did she get to this point? Was it because of this? And just kind of backtracking really helped, I think, a lot. Yeah. Yeah, like I'm not super method. I don't feel like, I mean, apart from in like one of the episodes, I feel like I had to get a little bit method, but like other than that,
method is required in moments in order to you know, there's an acceptance with, you know, there's always going to be some spacey, techie dialogue that you have to say. It's kind of a rite of passage with sci-fi, and if you can do it and make it sound like it's urgent and relevant and actually means something to you, you do whatever that you bend over backwards to make sure it means something to you in that moment.
Yeah, I think that's super important and super relevant, because I feel like it's easy sometimes to get wrapped up in like, oh yes, the scientific force field of the spaceship and blah, blah. Sometimes you forget that there's actually a meaning behind it. So
that's a line, by the way. We have that on the show.
So yeah, I think like finding meaning behind it is super important. Yeah.
Actually, if I remember correctly, you started out in a production of Much Ado. Is that right?
Oh man,
How
yeah,
long ago?
that was yeah, in high school that was my first time on stage,
Shake.
and that was when I fell in love with Shakespeare. Yeah.
I feel like similarly, Shakespeare is one of those things that is either incredibly impactful and meaningful, and you're really just looking at it going, amazing, or
Mm,
people just zone out and rattle off Shakespeare in this weird
absolutely.
thing. Uh, were there particular things that you have learned along the way in other roles that, or things that you bring to the show now to try to help you keep present and be in the moment, even when the dialogue gets a little weird?
Yeah, absolutely. I think a lot of this. I came off a play. I finished a play in February, and we were meant to fly out and start this job maybe like 2 weeks later. And that play was a real roller coaster in being in the moment and just rolling. It's just me and three other guys on stage for 2 hours straight, and you just have nothing else except each other. So, doing the work, sitting up till 2, 3 in the morning, going over lines, discussing, finding out your beats and your intentions and all that business. And then, especially on film sets, every day you have a scene very specifically in your head how it's going to play out. The moment you get on set, or the moment you see what the set for the day looks like, or you say the lines with the other actor, suddenly all your plans go out the window, and you have to be okay with that. You have to.
Yeah.
Because your ego is very much involved, and you're like, oh, but I want to play it like this, and they're like, actually, you can't, because you'll be doing a scene in a vacuum if you try and put your version onto it. You just have to be incredibly open, and luckily, all of us, are so astonishingly open with each other in scenes, and even from the big scenes to the small scenes to the emotional to the techie. There's such an openness, and you find stuff that you never saw. It's insane, and I think that constantly keeps you on your toes. And it's fun to keep other people on their toes too. If you do something a bit wild, then they just like have to react. And like, oh, that works, great, cool. So yeah, that's how I try and stay present. And on top of that, you have a story to tell, the bigger picture, seeing the world through your character's eyes, and there comes a stage of relaxation where it's like a calmness where whatever decision I make, 99% of the time it will be in character, and you can get to that sort of stage where, I think not to compare myself to Heath Ledger, I'm not doing this, but Heath Ledger, Christopher Nolan talked about with Heath Ledger doing the Joker, he got to the same place where nothing he did was wrong, everything he did worked. So now it's something to aim for, is to get that.
You know the character so well by that point,
You completely embody them and can just jump in and out. And
nobody would ever. It's not like anyone would ever say, or you would ever feel like this is completely out of character.
Yeah.
The character is a fully formed human being, so they would make certain decisions. They would feel panic. They would feel humor. They would feel happiness, sadness, panic, anxiety. I already said that. Different emotions, because they are a fully formed human being. You do get to that point. I think.
Yeah.
I remember hearing something about Anthony Hopkins once, that he just showed up so prepped that he knew his lines and your lines and everybody in the room's lines so well that whatever happened, he could move on the fly and have that prep to catch him and be ready.
That's the goal.
Nicole, you have a background in dance, is that right? Do you feel like that? That always seems to be something that gets brought up to actor friends of mine, of like, no, you need to be, how does the character move? You're thinking too small. Do you feel like that awareness of your body as an instrument helped in your transition to acting?
Yes. That's a really good question. Thank you. I do think so. I think because I come from a physical background of, I guess, movement and movement direction, choreography, dance, whatever, it does help in the sense where I feel like the character comes from the body up, if you know what I mean. It's a weird way to put it, but I think when it comes to the way that I mean, it's always frustrating when you go into a scene and you're like, what do I do with my hands? Like, sometimes you forget how to do stuff. Yeah, you forget how to breathe like a normal human being. But having a history of movement is, for me, I found it extremely helpful, because it then allows me to embody the posture of the character, embody the way that maybe she would move her arms, and why she would move her arms, and where the energy comes from in the body, and then how it releases. Don't look at me like that.
It's not cringe, it's love.
No, it's love and effort.
It's love and effort.
Yeah, I feel like the energy comes from within the body, and so when going onto set and then seeing the sets and then being able to go through the blocking and having like an idea of where your character's energy comes from is really useful, I think, for me anyway. And I feel like it's made the transition from dance or from movement into acting a lot easier than I would have expected it to be, because I was extremely apprehensive coming into this job, never having done something big like this, like a TV role, and having such an expansive character that goes on for so long that I can develop for so much. And I think that having that movement history to fall back on really helped. Finding the beats in finding the beats in the scenes, or it does feel almost like a little bit like a choreography in some ways. The way you move, the way you talk, it's all timing. And I do think that really helps. And I do think I would advise, like anyone, any actor, if you don't have any knowledge of movement or movement training, not to say that you have to become a professional dancer or whatever, but I feel like it's so beneficial to all actors. It's super beneficial, I feel like. So yeah, dancing.
Do it, everybody.
Do it. Great.
For the one last question, for the folks watching at home this season, do you each have something you're particularly excited for the fans to get to see? That
Yes.
anything you can talk about? Obviously, I don't want to spoil the show for anybody.
Oh.
I can I go first?
Yes, please do.
I'm really excited for the fans to see relationships form, unlikely friendships form in the within the backdrop of this, universe is at stake type story that we have, this overarching dark cloud. But within that is a real building and of relationships, and complex relationships, and between people that don't, from different parts of the galaxy and stuff like that. And I think that's, for me, it's a huge joy. And like a lot of what you talked about earlier about how do you, amongst all the tech stuff, how do you bring like character and humanity to it? I think that's exactly what we've done so much more so this year, is to bring so much more humanity to the relationships and the personal stakes for everyone, and the different agendas, and all the human emotions that people feel. There's a whole range of them. I'm really excited for people to see that, as well as the CG looks amazing, like we've seen episode 1, and the CGI looks awesome, and it's so beautifully shot. DP and director of episode 8, Max Smeech, has done an incredible job shooting this, and it looks so pretty, and it looks so so like dark, but it needs to look dark, and so bright and cheerful. It's really nice to watch. So that's the long version of that. So yes, humanity is what we're looking forward to.
Yeah, I think I second that. I think I am super excited for I guess the audience to meet this version of the characters, maybe that they've seen before in season 1, and all the new characters that are coming about for season 2, and just like being able to connect with those characters and see their journeys throughout the season, their emotions, that humanity, as much as they can. Obviously, sometimes got aliens, but the humanity.
Aliens have feelings too.
just the humanity behind the story, behind the characters, the relationships, and just being able to connect with different characters, and on a primal level, I feel like I'm really excited for people to be able to see that, and just I hope they do connect with the characters, and I hope they enjoy watching, and I hope they get invested, and they're like, what? Oh my God, no!
And then we just break them.
Yes!
That's how you get them.
Again.
So everybody can watch Pandora Season 2 premiere is Sunday, October 4th on the CW, which if you're like me and you watch everything streaming, that'll be the next day on the CW app. Yeah, thank you so much for taking time today to talk to me about it. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, man.
Thank you.
Y'all have a great rest of your day. I'm so glad y'all made it through season 2 safe and got to keep working. That's so good.
Thanks, man.
Thank you so
Likewise, hope everyone's all right in the US and everywhere in America.
Yep.
In the world.
Hold it
strong,
down.
guys.
It's wild times. Thank you.
Yeah, man.
Bye.
Anyway, have a great day, man.
You too.
Bye. Thank you so much.
All right, take care.